Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
I am convinced that we are living in a simulation, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Mets have fully convinced me of that because they did what we have seen them do so many times, and that is to be in a fight for a playoff spot, for a division race, to have all the hype and pomp and circumstance that comes with a Mets team that has been heavily invested in both a financial standpoint and from a prospect standpoint. A team that should be leaps and bounds better than the Miami, formerly Florida Marlins, who are usually good for a fire sale every 3 to 4 years. And yet, here we are in 2025, where the Mets come off a sweep of the Phillies, where they get within 4 games of first place in the National League East. And you look forward to the schedule, and you see the Marlins on there, and you look at their record, and you think, there's no reason why a team with a $350 million payroll should not be able to take, at minimum, 3 out of 4 against them. You think this is a golden opportunity before the schedule really gets difficult, where you're playing some of the top tier teams in baseball, and the Tigers, the Phillies again, against Cincinnati, who, of course, the Mets are fighting for a wild card spot. And yet, the Mets did what they have done so many times throughout the franchise's history as it repeats itself. The Miami Marlins come to Citi Field and outclass the Mets this weekend. It started on Thursday in Game 1, a huge letdown game where the Mets were throwing the ball all over the field. They get back on the horse Friday, big win, 19 runs from this lineup. Yesterday, can't complete the comeback, the pitching derailing them. And then once again here today, Kodai Senga with another pitiful performance, 4 2/3, gives up 5 runs, and the Mets are absolutely mowed down by Sandy Alcantara. Sandy Alcantara, who has an ERA above 5 this year. Granted, yes, he's been pitching better lately, but the Mets made him look like this was his 2022 Cy Young season. It looked like when this team went down 3-0 on the 2-run homer, mind you, with 2 outs from Agustin Ramirez, that the game was over. The Mets had no fight today. All the fight the Mets used yesterday, it was all out. And they couldn't even win that game, as the Mets dropped 3 out of 4 to the freaking Marlins. All of the work they did in the 3-game sweep of the Phillies, completely out the window, throw it away, gone. The Phillies have gained 2 games back, now 2.5 as of right now. This moment, the Phillies play Sunday Night Baseball tonight against the Braves, who have laid down like dogs against the Phillies. Thanks a lot, Atlanta. Appreciate it. Play us like it's the World Series. Play like a little league team against the Phils. It is a bad weekend for the Mets. What's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro. If you're new to the channel, daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game. Be sure to leave this video a like. Go ahead and do that right now. Appreciate it very much. You can also follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Links to those are in the description of this video. And I think we're going to have some call-ins today on Discord. I know a couple that have already told me they're planning to call in. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, sound off and vent about this embarrassing weekend from the Mets, go to the link down in the description of this video to my Discord. That'll put you in the waiting room, and I will put you in when we are ready to take some calls. I want to hear from you guys because I am beside myself. This was unacceptable. An unacceptable way to follow up that 3-game sweep against the Phillies. It is like the Men in Black forget your memory thing. It is just like it never even happened. The Mets have lost 2 of those 3 games they gained on Philly already, and it might be 3 if the Phillies win again today. The Phillies can sweep a 4-game set potentially from the Braves. The Mets, 0 chance of that ever happening. They can't even win or split a series with the Marlins. who, by the way, I am convinced construct their team every offseason not to make the playoffs. No. Solely for the purpose of being a thorn in the Mets' side, because the Mets cannot seem to figure out a way to beat the Marlins ever. Whenever the Mets need it the most and the Marlins are coming up on their schedule, forget it. The Mets just forget how to play baseball. You got Senga going out today with a horrific start. It starts immediately in the first inning, a walk, a base hit, a sacrifice fly to make it 1-0. Then in the third inning with 2 outs, a walk sets it up for Ramirez or Augustine, whatever the hell his name is, the catcher, to hit a 2-run bomb, 3-0. And at that point, man, you just know. You just knew the way yesterday went after losing Friday, losing 2 games in the standings to the Phillies already. You just knew the Mets did not have a comeback in them today. Alcantara just carving this lineup apart. It was just a lifeless, ugly, gross game. The only energy you see is in this little fake Fukakta benches clearing meeting, because I'm not even going to call it a brawl, where Vientos for some reason is jawing at Sandy Alcantara. Great. Let's give the Marlins some more juice, some more reason to want to beat us in the final weekend of the season down in Miami. That's a great idea. And that is why I said in the beginning, this is history repeating itself, just like in 2007 when the Mets had the benches clearing brawl on the second to last day of the season. And what did the Marlins do? They came back on that final day of the year on Sunday and beat the Mets to knock them out of the playoffs, to give the Phillies the National League East crown. So yes, great idea. Let's give the Marlins some more juice and some more vitriol toward us so that they can take it to us down in Miami on the final weekend of the series. Just a gross, ugly, disgusting weekend from the Mets. Let's go to the chat. Jimmy James, see, this team is exhausting. It is just a roller coaster like I've not been on before. The Mets are usually a roller coaster, but with the expectations we went into this season with and the high they were at the end of May to what they've done now the last 3 months, it is exhausting and a roller coaster that I want to get off. I am so with you there, Jimmy James. Stefan, hey Tone, what's up? Those Marlins keep on bugging. The Marlins, man, they kill us every time you need a good series. The Marlins seem to pop up on the schedule and play their best freaking baseball against us. They'll go play the Phillies though, and they'll lose 3 out of 4 to Philadelphia, or they'll go play Atlanta when we need them to beat the Braves, and they'll lay down for them. But when they play the Mets, it's like the World Series for the Marlins. Stefan, but we play heartless. Not that the Marlins are that good. I mean, the Marlins are better than I think most of us are giving them credit for. They have a pretty decent lineup, and if you get a performance like you got out of Sandy Alcantara today, they're not a bad team. I mean, hey, they were threatening us for a little while there in the wild card and for second place in the National League East. They since have been struggling, and that's what is most frustrating about it. The Marlins were not playing great baseball recently, and they come to Citi Field and absolutely take it to us. Armand, I turned the game off after down 3-0. Armand, I felt the same way. After that home run, you just knew the balloon was out of the air. It was a tough loss yesterday where, again, momentum just completely gone from this team from the win on Friday. And you just knew they didn't have another big comeback in them today. Not that 3-0 is a big comeback, but you know with this team, you just do. Armand also, per Anthony DeComo, the Mets have a .412 winning percentage over their last 68 games. Only 5 teams have been worse. They're all in 4th or 5th place. Very telling. And another stat, this was one of, I think, if not the best offensive performance any Mets team has had in franchise history, and they finished the month of August 11-17. 6 games under 500 here in the month of August, despite having an offensive outburst. It goes back to that little thing I showed you with the sliders, where it's starting pitching, hitting, bullpen. You can't get all 3 of those things to go on at the same time. One thing goes on, the other goes off. One other thing goes off, the other thing comes on. It's the mark of a very inconsistent team. And like you said up there earlier, Jimmy James, see, this team is exhausting for that exact exact reason. Let's see, Yukoku. Marlins have some nice players. Can't even lie. They do, man. The Marlins impressed me this weekend. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, they have no easy outs in that lineup. There is no one in that lineup that it's like, oh, yeah, this will be an easy inning. They put the ball in play. They hit it the other way. They take their walks. They play pretty good defense. I mean, the Marlins are just, this is the reincarnation of the 2007-2008 Marlins. I'm telling you. Let's see. Stefan says, well, I only watch afternoon games. Oh, okay. That's right. So, Stefan out in the Netherlands got to catch this one. It seems you only get to watch afternoon games and when the Mets lose, Stefan. So I'm sorry for that, brother. Let's see. Cuckoo, the future of the division will be tough. Braves will be back, and the Marlins have some young talent. I mean, I'm not ready to put the Marlins over the top. They do this all the time. They have, first of all, give the Mets fits, and second of all, have developed young talent in the past before, and it never turns out to be anything. It turns out to be Josh Willingham and Jeremy Hermida and Cody Ross, who end up getting traded and having, decent careers in middle markets, but not ready to say the Marlins are going to be, a future threat quite yet, but a good series for them for sure. Salmon Games, what's up? He says, hi, Tony and Mookie. Mookie's sitting right here next to me. I wasn't even mad or yelling or screaming during this game because I did it all yesterday, and I kind of expected the Mets to lose this game, unfortunately, today. It just looked like it after that 2-run homer in the third inning, the way Senga was pitching, just an ugly, crappy weekend for the Mets. Salmon, it's time for McLean, Tong, Sproat, Peterson. We are done with the Senga, Montas, Manaya, clean house. It's inexplicable how all three of those guys have just turned to crap. Senga, Manaya, Peterson have all just poured in really ugly starts lately. Peterson, not so much, but then you also mix in Clay Holmes. It has just been, it's confounding how all of these guys at the same time are struggling to get through 4 or 5 innings on a daily basis. It just doesn't make sense what has happened to this starting pitching staff. It is time for Sproat. I am totally with you guys. 100%. Same for you, Jane Doe, who says, call Sproat, try anything. We already tried it with Tong and McLean. They're in the rotation, thankfully. We might be looking at a rotation if the Mets make the playoffs, which, by the way, they lose a game to the Reds in the standings today, so the lead in the in the National League wild card for the third spot is now down to 4. We may be seeing a playoff rotation, should the Mets make it, of Tong, McLean, and Sproat, because would you want to hand the ball to Kodai Senga? Would you want to hand the ball to Sean Manaea in the playoffs? Would you want to give it to Clay Holmes? I mean, the answer is very clearly no if you are asking me right now. So this has just been crazy what's happened to the vets, and I am ready for Sproat. It is Sproat time. Red Bear Fox, Peterson and Senga need to be the 4th and 5th starters in the rotation. Hopefully Sproat can come up and become one of the top 3 with McLean and Tong. Yep, I hope so, man. I hope so. We need it because this has just not been good enough. I just am shocked by what's happened. Armand says this serious combo should be Senga to the bullpen, and they won't send him down in the minors, and he does not deserve another start. I wish they had the balls to do it. I mean, you got to try and figure it out with Senga. That's the hope. And I don't know if it's going to happen or before the playoffs, but they need to just keep praying. And that's unfortunate truth about it, but they got to ride it out with Senga. I think Holmes definitely should be in the pen already, but they don't seem to have any inclination that they are going to do that. And I think that is seriously, seriously killing this team. But Sproat needs to be up and on this 40-man roster before the end of today, so he is eligible for the playoff roster, because why not? See what you got in the guy. Let him pitch out of the pen. Let him make a start here during this run in September. And if he's good, great. He's on the playoff roster. If he's not, then whatever. No harm, no foul. But you give yourself that luxury and flexibility to at least see what Brandon Sproat might be, because it has to be better than what we are getting from Senga and Holmes and Manaya and at times David Peterson. So I don't know what the plan is, but that is how I would go about it. David Schultz saying it can't be trusted, not same since his injury. Call Sproat for the road trip. He doesn't have to face New York City pressure. I'm with it 100%. I think he should. We'll see. Again, this is the deadline here today to be on the 40-man roster. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to be on the playoff roster. So, David Stearns, I really hope you are going to make the right decision and put Brandon Sproat on this 40-man roster so that he is eligible for the playoffs should they decide that they want to do that. Jose Lopez Mora, hope the pitching lab has been taken over by Dr. Frankenstern's twin brother of Stingy Stearns. That's why the pitching has gone haywire. That's one of your best comments ever, Jose. I love that. Dr. Frankenstern's is taken over the Mets pitching lab, and that's the problem with the pitching. I mean, it's honestly inexplicable, guys. Like I said, hold on. Let me try and get these headsets ready because I'm going to check in, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot to say. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, again, go to the link of this video. I'm sorry, the link in the description of this video to my Discord, and I am going to start taking your calls right now. I want to hear from you guys, but real quick, let me finish up a few more chats. Armand, sweep the Phillies, lose 3 out of 4 to the Marlins, and just win 2 of 3 against the Tigers. Typical Mets. Yeah, would I be surprised if the Mets now go win 2 out of 3 in Detroit? No, because the Mets always seem to play up or down to their competition. They could play up for the Phillies, they play down to the Marlins. They might go play up to the Tigers or to the Dodgers, and then they will play down to the Chicago White Sox or get swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Again, the only consistent thing about this team this year is that they are inconsistent. You just can't figure them out. Stefan Salmon, he's talking to Salmon, says, those afternoon games are only 1 or 2 times a week exactly, and it seems they are always losing when you're watching, Stefan. Not blaming you, I'm just saying I feel bad that the only games you ever get to watch are afternoon games, and it seems like the last couple they have lost. So sorry for that, Stefan. Jose says Senga's been using too many secondary pitches to start off a batter. It seems like all of the Mets starters, from Holmes to Peterson to Manaya to Senga today, are just not getting swings and misses. They are not biting on the pitches out of the zone. The book seems to be out, not only on each of those individual pitchers, but really on the entire Mets pitching philosophy. They know they are not going to get many strikes or swings, good pitches to swing at, but the ones that are in the zone, once they get into hitters count, they are doing damage on. And for all of these guys, it's no one individual pitcher in the rotation, it is all of them. So pitching lab, Jeremy Hefner, I don't know who or what is responsible for it, but it is not good enough. 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. My goodness, guys, go ahead, leave this video a like if you have not already. Go ahead, do that right now. Appreciate y'all very much. Let's see, Jose Lopez in 1986, when the bench is cleared, they took matters in their hands. Yeah, they don't do that anymore, unfortunately, man. They are soft. There's rarely ever fights. I would have loved to see one, but again, you gave some juice to the Marlins. Now let's see how they play us now that final weekend down in Miami, right? Let's give them a little more, right? Senga 7.07 ERA since coming back, according to Joe. It's just not been the same Kodai Senga, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was because he didn't get many rehab starts before coming back, if the Mets rushed him, which would be very non-Mets-like under this current regime. I'm not sure, but Senga has just been brutal since coming back from the hamstring injury. I mean, that is really almost the line of demarcation for this team's season. It seemed like as soon as Senga had the hamstring injury on the throw from Pete Alonso at first, that the Mets season has just been totally derailed, and they have done enough to keep their heads above water, barely, but for the most part, it's just been a really bad, inconsistent team. A few more chats, then I'm going to go to check for Discord calls, see if we got anyone in there. And actually, we don't right now, so if you guys do want to call in, be sure to go to the link in the video, in the description of this video, to my Discord. That'll put you in the call-in waiting room. And then I will put you guys in when I'm ready to go. So that is available if you guys want to do that. But let me go back to the chat again over here. Let's see. Rod says, Alcantara just made us pay for not trading for him. When the offseason rolls around, it is time to clean house on the staff. Well, if you mean the coaching staff, they've probably got to really consider the hitting coaches, although they've had this ridiculous month of August, so maybe not anymore. But meanwhile, the pitching staff has been awful, and that's the reason they finished 11-17. The Mets have something like the most losses this year when scoring 4+ runs. So it's like you just one day can't get anything out of the offense. The next day you get horrible starting pitching. The day after that you get decent starting pitching, enough offense, and the bullpen blows it. Like I said, the mark of an inconsistent team is finding different ways to lose on a daily basis, and that has just been the case. And then you could even throw in the fielding, where the Mets made 6 errors over this 4-game series here against the Marlins. That's not first place baseball. It just isn't. Red Bear Fox, if the offense keeps rolling, they just need the pitching to be halfway decent. That's it. Just be decent. Exactly. That's it, right? And last year, that was the hope that you were going to get decent pitching from some of the guys like Severino and from Quintana, and you didn't know what you'd get out of Sean Manaea when you were signing him on a prove-it deal, and they actually turned out to be fantastic. The offense was lacking in the first half. Then they turn it on in the second half. You're still getting good pitching for the most part. And look where they went. This year, it's like the first 2 months, pitching was carrying them. Offense wasn't doing anything. Then neither were going very well in the middle of the summer. And now, here in August, the offense was electric, but the pitching has completely let them down. And again, it results in what I said, the most losses this year for any team in baseball when scoring 4 runs or more. And I just can't understand it. It is a 5.90 ERA for Kodai Senga since returning from the injured list. And honestly, at this point, one of Senga or Holmes or even Manaea may need one of those phantom injured list stints and go on that 10-day IL, because Sprout has been pitching well in AAA. I would think he's probably very motivated for the fact that Tong and McClain got the call before him, despite being the most highly touted of the Mets pitching prospects entering 2025. And I think he has a real chip on his shoulder, and I would like to see him pitching in Queens here over this final month. Stefan says the Reds are crap. Also, the Mets don't even have to play their A game. I mean, I'm not going to say that about anything, because honestly, the Mets did not play their A game against the Marlins, and look what happened. They just lost 3 out of 4. Meanwhile, Philly winning the first 3 of their 4-game set against the Braves and gained 2.5 games back on us, potentially all 3 of them if they win and sweep the Braves tonight at Citizens Bank Park. But Eric Douglas, still optimistic about postseason. I am definitely optimistic they are still going to make the playoffs. They got the 4-game lead over the Reds. Huge 3-game series in Cincinnati next weekend. The Mets have to take 2 out of 3. If they do that, I'll feel even better about things. But I really was starting to feel like they had a chance at the division after the sweep of the Phillies. And now you might as well throw it out the window. You can't enter that Philly series next week, despite it being 4 games down by 5 or 6. You had to have it at 3. You had to have it at 3, where at least if you split, it's still 3. There's still 2 weeks of baseball left, but I just don't think the Mets have a chance at the division at this point. I definitely think they're still going to make the playoffs as far as the wild card. But guys, we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I'm sorry. This is a $350-something million payroll team. We should be hunting divisions on a year out, year in, year out basis. So it is what it is. You get in the dance, you win the World Series. They don't really care if you won the division or if you won the wild card. Path is usually easier from the division, though. But let's see. Rod says, I think it is not only the Chavez now, but it is the pitching, fielding, and hitting coach. I believe that they secretly hate each other because no team is this bipolar. Oh, let me tell you, the New York Mets are this bipolar. And it's funny you use that word, because I said that in my short today I posted here on YouTube. We are called bipolar as Mets fans. We are called crazy. It's the team that is bipolar. It's this franchise and organization that is bipolar. They go from sweeping the Phillies, getting within 4 games of the division, to looking like buffoons and losing 3 out of 4 against Miami. Like, what? They're the ones that are taking us on this roller coaster ride. It ain't us. We're just there for the ride. I mean, they are just such an inconsistent group. David Schultz, 5.90 ERA since the return from injury. Unacceptable. Sitting them down is the only answer. I mean, problem is, how many of these guys could we sit? You can make the case to sit Holmes out of the rotation, Manaea, and Senga. You can't. You got to fill out a rotation. So I don't know. I have to think there is something wrong. There might be something physically wrong with Kodai Senga right now. And it is incredibly frustrating to see, especially after how well he performed in the first month or 2 of this season before the hamstring injury. Red Bear Fox, this team Rod says, time to call up Jet Williams and Sprout. Williams ain't been hitting too much in AAA, I don't think. We'll see. I think the best move, and they were talking about it on the broadcast here, Ronnie said it perfectly. The Mets seemed to play their best late in games when Luis Angel Acuna was on this roster. He gave them that defensive versatility, late inning defensive replacement, and of course the speed on the base pass. Ronnie Mauricio can't sniff the field anymore. At this point, it only makes sense to call Luis Angel Acuna back to the Mets roster, and if it means sending Ronnie Mauricio back down to to AAA, then so be it. But I think the Mets are a better team when they bring Luis Angel Acuna. That might be an option. Jet Williams, it's probably too much of a jump from him. He just got promoted from AA to AAA, and his numbers haven't been great. But Sproat, 100%. That needs to happen today, literally within the next couple hours here. Otherwise, won't be eligible for the Mets playoff roster if he is not put on the 40-man roster by the end of today. Guys, go ahead and leave this video a like. Really appreciate it. Let's do this. A couple more chats here. Let's see if anybody's looking to call in on Discord. See if we have anybody. Nope. Guys, if you do want to call in, be a part of the show, sound off your frustrations about a just ugly weekend from the Mets against the Marlins, go to the link in the description of this video to my Discord. That will put you in the waiting room, and I will plug you in when I'm ready to take calls, which is right now. So go ahead and do that. Let's see. All right. Rod says, if the Phillies win tonight, then RIP the Mets' hopes and dreams of a division title. 100%. The Mets would fall 7 games back, just like they began the series on Monday against the Phillies. And with 4 games against them, great. You'd still have to sweep 4 and pick up 3 games somewhere else along this month of September. It's not happening. It's not happening. If the Phils win tonight, forget it. The NL East is the Phillies. And at this point, whatever. It's fine. Just get in the dance. Never know what could happen. Look at last year, and I have no fear of playing the Phillies anywhere. They say it's only a Citi Field thing. Nah, I don't believe that. I think the Mets can win at Citizens Bank Park. I saw them do it in Game 1 of the NLDS last year. I know we lost 2 out of 3 against them so far this season, but I have no fear of playing the Phillies anytime, anywhere. Mets could easily take them out in the playoffs, but would have been nice to get that division title, that first one since 2015, right? Red Bear Fox, the offense was a coaching philosophy problem, and they have changed their approach, which is why they just have been hitting better. Pitching-wise, they just don't have talent. Talent is definitely a concern on the pitching side. You had the pitching lab. You were getting the dividends of Griffin Canning, and last year Manaya, and of course of Severino with some tinkering and adjustments to those guys. But at the end of the day, they have now been exposed. The offense has made the adjustments, and we've heard them say how they were not performing well against fastballs, and now they've been hunting fastballs more, and you've seen the turnaround from this lineup. But the pitching side of things, there definitely needs to be an influx of talent. Luckily, we've already seen 2 of those in the form of starters and Sproat and in Tong and McClain, potentially another in Sproat, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully this team could maybe for once, I don't know, develop a reliever. Wouldn't that be nice? Who's the last reliever that the Mets actually have developed? Seth Lugo, who came up as a starter. I mean, Jose Butto was okay up and down. Now he's traded. Deno Nunez has barely pitched 50 games in his career because he's always hurt. Who knows if we'll ever see him again. I mean, who's the last reliever the Mets have developed? They need to start developing more than just a handful of starters here and there. But Armand says, Underdog MLB tweeted Buster only Walker Buehler to sign with the Phillies. Oh, fantastic. And you just know if the Mets now meet up with the Phillies, or even, I was going to say in the playoffs, but even as soon as this upcoming week, if Walker Buehler is pitching for the Phillies, he will shove against the Mets just because of the name brand value, because he's Walker Buehler, and because he dominated the Mets last year in the playoffs and he's a former Dodger. You just know that's going to happen. I would have taken a waiver on Buehler. With the state of this Mets pitching staff, I don't know why the Mets wouldn't at the very least take a flyer on Walker Buehler, see if he could pitch in the pen. You know, we actually have gotten some pretty good performances from these no-name scrub relievers, the Uber drivers that we like to refer to them as, right? Chris Davinsky yesterday soaking up 3 innings for us. How about today? Brandon Waddell, 4 2/3 scoreless innings. I mean, these guys, maybe they should be getting starts for this team. Better than Senga, better than Peterson yesterday. I mean, my goodness, how the script has just flipped, guys. It's crazy, crazy stuff. All right. Let's see. We're going to go listen to some sound here because nobody's here calling in. That's okay. Jimmy James C. It's like they're relegating themselves to the last wild card spot. Like they're not allowed to get a higher spot. I mean, at this point, like, I don't think they even are capable of leapfrogging either the Cubs or the Padres or Dodgers, whoever's going to mix and match in and out of that NL West spot there. But I don't think they are. I really don't. I think the Mets are just the 5th or 6th best team in the National League, and they're wildly inconsistent when they play their best. I think they could beat anybody. When they're not playing their best, they could literally lose to anybody. That is the definition of a wild card team. So, Mark Rapp, I've been a Mets fan for my whole life. I'm 52. I've been through many bad times to still root hard. I find this team very hard to enjoy and root for. They have put us through the ringer, no doubt about it. It has just been a weird season, just a weird season for the Mets. There's no other way to explain it. I'm just kind of at a loss for words at this point. We're going to listen to what the Mets had to say about this one. Another really brutal loss for the Mets as they dropped 3 out of 4 to the freaking Miami Marlins. Let's just hear what Senga had to say about his outing. But real quick, Rod Stern's ideology of signing pitchers that were mid at best and trying to turn them into something has clearly blown up. Might work every year, a couple guys once a year, but it's not going to work for an entire pitching staff. We know what we were going to get out of David Peterson. This is probably about what you'd expect from DP, right? But then in the case of signing Frankie Montas, how did that work out? Griffin Canning, it was doing pretty well until he burst his Achilles, but it's time to really legitimately get some crude starting pitching, and hopefully it's going to be in the form of these young guys coming up. But let's hear what Senga had to say about his outing here today. Okay, wait. I don't think I've ever played a Senga interview, so we're just going to skip the translator part until he's speaking in English.
Yeah, there are some parts of my body that aren't moving the way I want it to. But at the same time, I'm out there and I'm competing. So it's a fine line, and it's tough for me because I'm out there, but I'm not able to perform.
Competing? I don't know about that one. I wouldn't say competing. You're out there, that's for sure. But competing, I don't know about that. That's just another one of these starts we're seeing is laboring just to get through 4 or 5. He doesn't even get through 5 today. 4 2/3 before Waddell comes in for him in relief. It's just not been good enough. His body part's not moving in the right direction, he says. I don't know what that is supposed to mean, but that sounds like a mechanical kind of thing, and maybe that's the product of not getting enough rehab starts. Maybe the hamstring is something he's still not confident in after the injury, but whatever it is, man, we need him to figure it out, and we need him to figure it out fast. He needed to figure it out a long time ago. Let's see. Red Bear Fox says, did Stearns possibly sign mediocre pitchers this offseason or this season in anticipation of the big 3 minor leaguers coming up? I definitely believe that's the case, Red Bear Fox. I think that he knew the starters in Tong, McLean, and Sproat were on the horizon, and he was not going to commit long-term money and big contracts to aging veteran starting pitchers. That is why we didn't see them interested in Corbin Burns. Look how that turned out for Arizona. First year there, he has to get Tommy John surgery. That is going to be a mess of a contract for them for years to come. And he knows better than anybody, of course, having him in Milwaukee during his time as their general manager. So I do believe that is the case, Red Bear Fox, but I do still want one of those savvy veteran anchors for this rotation, because clearly we don't have it with Senga, Manaya, Holmes, of course not, or Peterson at this point. So I think there's an odd man out of that group of 4 heading into next season, and we will just see how they navigate it, especially when you consider Tong, Sproat, McLean all could be a part of the rotation. But another thing we've talked about, hey, like, is Senga even worth keeping at this point? And I was going to say love, and then I was going to say like, but I love Kodai Senga. I do. I think he's a great teammate. When he's on, but are the negatives starting to outweigh the positives, where you have to constantly manipulate your rotation to accommodate him? He needs the extra day of rest. He's not performing now, and it's throwing the entire rest of the rotation into a flux. And the constant roster moves this team has to make to help Senga pitch throughout the season, is it worth it anymore? I don't know. That is a hard question to think about, but I don't know. Jimmy James or Sandman Games, my dad walked in earlier and said, what stinks, did you fart? I said, I'm watching the Mets. That's the best dad joke ever. Thank you, Sandman Games. I love that. Knicks for life. They should have traded for Morton at the deadline as that vet that you mentioned. Well, that would be nice, but I'm thinking more in terms of like a stud, like a top of the line rotation, ace pitcher for this rotation. But I just don't think that is in David Stearns' blood to make a trade or to sign a big name like that. But yeah, Morton wouldn't have been bad, I guess, right? Jimmy James, get Holmes back into the bullpen where he belongs 100%. It is long overdue. Rod says, I'm sorry, but if it continues to be like this, no trade him for a bunch of prospects and just sign a vet. Who are we talking about here, Rod? Who? Oh, you're talking about Kodai. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I love Senga, I do, but I'm wondering if it is worth it, and if that is the best way to build a rotation with him. Let's hear what Carlos Mendoza had to say about the has to say about the upcoming road trip. By the way, what a weird homestand where the Mets start with sweeping the Phillies, a comeback win in the opener of that one, and then lose 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. Just insane.
That you gotta be able to find this.
Sorry.
The mix, and you got 10 games coming up against left contenders.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not concerned. You know, I know
I'm so sick of this. I'm not concerned.
Here, you know,
we're concerned.
We'll get these guys back in line. You know, yeah. I mean, I can sit here and think about what's the next 10 days going to look like. Worry about tomorrow. You know, we got a good series against a really good team, but we're good too. You know, we just got to clean it up and then keep going.
Jose Lopez Moya saying that the start of the Mets should have acquired was last year at the deadline and Garrett Crochet. Hey, that would have been pretty nice, wouldn't it have? That would have fit the billing for me as that top frontline kind of starting pitcher that they could have put at the top of the rotation. Then you had Tong, McLean, Sproat coming up, and then you figured out from there. But instead, you gave 3 years, $75 million to Sean Manaea, who I do still have some belief in, but I am very, very concerned about, no doubt about it. Rod says to me that veteran pitcher should be Zach Gallen. That's going to be almost a mix of the two things that would work. So you say he's that top line pitcher, and I agree he could still be, but he's coming off a down year. So that might be a perfect mix for David Stearns, where it's a buy low kind of candidate. Let's see if we could fix him, but he also has that star potential. So hey, that's kind of right in David Stearns' wheelhouse there, Rod. Staying my games, Mendoza got a 2-year extension, right? No extension, but I do believe he's got next year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he got an extension. I could be wrong about that, but I know he is under contract through next season for sure. Here's what he had to say about Kodai Senga's struggles.
For Senga to figure it out before you kind of have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, we just got done with the game. We got to get him right, obviously. I'm pretty sure we're going to have some discussion what's next for him. But our job is to get him right, you know. But it's been a struggle, you know. It's been a struggle. And again, we'll see what's next for him.
I guess.
Armand says, which team is going to trade anything for Senga? Might have to eat some money to get a decent return or just salary dump and get very little back. Yeah, and I don't think it's realistic to trade Senga, if I'm being honest, but it's not a crazy contract. It was 5 years, $75 million. He's now played out. This is his 3rd season with the team, correct? So he'd have 2 years left at not a very high average annual value. I could see a team being interested in him, and I don't think it's going to come back in the form of top prospect, but I could see it being in return for a quality, above average, not extremely above average position player. I could see that being the trade, something like that. So I wouldn't hate it, honestly. But, you know, the Mets are kind of in a weird position now with their rotation with these guys coming up and all the other guys still under contract through next year. Peterson, Holmes, Manaea, and Senga all still on this team next year. There's going to be an odd man out if Sproat, Tong, and McLean continue to form into really quality MLB starting pitchers. So let's see. Where is it? Sorry, I'm so blind. You guys know that. Mark Rapp says, God, I can't listen to Mendoza. Calm attitude anymore. This team needs a manager with some fire like Bobby V. I love Bobby V. Yes, we know this is kind of who Mendy is. He's calm, cool, collected, even keel. And I've said it before, I think sometimes that is good to having a manager over the course of 162. But I also think that there are times where emotions and fire are necessary to get your team going. And I don't know what he does behind the scenes, but in his pressers and interviews, this is the same Carlos Mendoza that we always see. So I'm with you. The whole we got to get them going thing, the whole we got to get them right thing, that is getting old for sure. I'm with you there, Mark. Let's see. Who else do we got here? Jose Lopez says, it's getting late to get the starter straightened out. What is Captain Hook Mendoza talking about? Exactly. It's getting late to get them right, to get them back on track. That's my whole point. That's why it's getting old for me too. I'm with you, Jose. Red Bear Fox Mendoza saying, let's see what's next for Senga. Doesn't sound good. It sounds to me like an injury list stint, right? I'm with you there, Red Bear Fox. It sounds to me like, hey, we might have to put him on a 10-day IL thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I said it earlier, man, especially when you might have the opportunity opportunity to have Sprout start some games might be the best thing the Mets could possibly do for themselves and for Kodai Senga and his futures, to put him on a little phantom 10-day injured list stint. CB24203 team feels like it's treading water and doesn't care about winning the division anymore. They have almost 5 games over the Reds and are probably satisfied with the wild card. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think they would love to win the division, but, you know, it's like they just dug themselves too deep of a hole. They have not played well against some of the weaker teams in baseball, including the Marlins, and I think they'll be satisfied with the wild card at this point, which is annoying and unfortunate for us as fans. But like I've said, look what happened last year where the Mets made the wild card. So going to have to just fight through it again, I guess. Let's see. Sandman Game says Senga goes to the Dodgers and whine. Yeah, and wins 16 games. Oh, the pain. Would you be surprised at all? The Dodgers formed the All Japan team. I was going to say Japanese. That's why I said it so weird. The All Japan team, and they just get 16 wins out of Senga. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Oh, the pain indeed. And Jets football is back next weekend. Oh, double dose of pain next Sunday, guys. Rod, for right now, I say trade Senga, keep Peterson. If there's a good deal, then trade him. Move Holmes to the pen and put Sprout, McLean, and Tong in. Well, I won't jump the gun on anything because we have yet to see Brandon Sprout at the big league level. We saw 3 very impressive starts for McLean, but it's only been 3 starts. And then with Tong, we only saw 1 start with him, and it didn't come without some difficulties. So I'm not going to start trading all these guys, but it's a conversation that is definitely going to need to happen entering next year, this offseason. There is going to be at least one of those guys moved out of the rotation. The simplest fix is to put Clay Holmes back into the bullpen. But what do we know as fans? Clearly nothing, because for some reason this Mets team, this front office brass, is insistent on keeping Clay Holmes as a starter despite his performance going down on a precipitous level ever since the end of May. Let's see what Mendy had to say about the Mets play this weekend against the Marlins.
Those 2 series for you as a team.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that I could go here, but we just didn't play well. We didn't play well in this series against
Shocker.
Miami. We didn't pitch well, and we didn't make plays behind our guys. We didn't help our starters pretty much. So yeah, and that's what it starts for me. Yeah, it's a tough series here, especially after coming against the Phillies. But we got to move on. We got a quick turnaround tomorrow, and we got to turn the page. But yeah, not a good series.
Nope, not a good series at all. And yes, a quick turnaround tomorrow. The Mets immediately getting on a plane after this game, flying out to Detroit. Afternoon game tomorrow. So great. Let's take a look at the box score really quick. Actually, first though, I do want to get to a couple of your guys' comments before we go and preview tomorrow's game, the series opener with the Tigers. Let's see. Armand says all MLB managers act like Mendy with the media and public and don't call out players. Like Tony just said, we don't know how he is in private with the players. Yeah, I mean, like, we don't know if he's flipping tables, and he's not doing that. That I can almost guarantee. But he might be a lot more fiery than he is with the media. And to a degree, I understand it. But there's also the whole Terry Collins old school type of philosophy. Sometimes a message to your players through the media could be a good thing, but that just doesn't seem the way the Mets want to run things, or Mendoza, and that's probably why they hired Carlos Mendoza. Let's see. Sandman says, who scores more next Sunday, Mets or Jets? I say 3 each. Oh my God. If the Mets outscore the Jets next Sunday, and they both lose, oh my goodness. I don't know if I'll be able to do a stream here, guys. I wouldn't be surprised, though. Who's your NFL team, guys? Sound off in the chat and leave this video a like. Appreciate that very much. Armand Holmes has an opt-out. There is a chance he does opt out. There is. What is the money on that contract? Without me looking it up, if you could tell me, I would love to know. I think it was, what, $30 million over 2 years? Or am I wrong about that? I could have sworn it was somewhere around there. But let me know on that opt-out there, Armand. I appreciate it if you get the time, because I'm interested. I think teams would probably look at him as a reliever again if he opt out. I don't think they would want to use him as a starter. Maybe as a swingman kind of thing. I don't know. But CB2403, at least we swept the Phillies. Yeah, unfortunately, it literally all got erased by losing 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. The Phillies might win tonight, sweep the Braves in a 4-game set, and be up 7 games again. But hey, at least head-to-head, yeah, we kind of dominate the Phillies, but doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Jose Lopez Moya, Holmes is not back in the bullpen because Stingy Stearns is a proud, stubborn individual who won't admit he's dead wrong. Jose Lopez Moya, Not a fan of David Stearns. That is evidently clear over this whole 2025 season. Guys, thanks so much for joining the stream here. Let's go and take a look at the box score real quick. Lindor with a hit and 4 at-bats. I mean, look at this. The top four guys in the lineup, all with a strikeout. Bad day for Pete Alonso, who had a really nice homestand and good series against the Marlins overall, but 0-4 in this one. Nimmo and Soto each with a knock, but just not a whole lot going on. Jeff McNeil with 2 hits. He gets that one out double in the second or third inning, I believe it was. Yeah, second inning, and the Mets strand him. Vientos grounds out. Beatty grounds out, who took an 0-for-4 with 2 punchies today. Mullins, my goodness. Listen, the entire 4-game series, please. Tyrone Taylor has proven that he can actually hit a little bit recently. No more Cedric Mullins. My goodness, this is nauseating how bad he is. He is horrible. I cannot watch any more Cedric Mullins. He's not a better defender in center field, and lately, not a better hitter than Tyrone Taylor. Pull the plug on the Cedric Mullins experiment. And then Marte, pinch hit, hitless, 0-for-1 with another strikeout. So, just a bad day for the offense. They leave 7 men on base. I think I put 8 in my thing, but 7 men on base, 0-for-7 with runners in scoring position. Ugly day. Obviously, Senga, 4 2/3, 5 runs on 7 hits. Strikes out 6, but also walked 2. And Waddell giving us some innings. Really nice performance from Brandon Waddell. 3 hits over 4 1/3. But let's see. Mark Rapp says, grew up in New York, a Dolphins fan. My goodness, Mark, you were the man until that. I'm sorry, bro. I can't like it. No, I'm just kidding. The Dolphins, we'll see what happens this year in the AFC East. It's probably going to the Bills, right? CB24203, it felt so good, though, LOL. It did feel good to beat the Phillies, I know. Sandman says, Mets take 1 step forward, 10 steps back. That is pretty much the exact perfect way to analyze this season. The Mets take a few steps forward, and then they take a few steps back. It's like they're doing the do-si-do with all these crap bottom division teams. They just can't seem to find a way to get up for those games. Let's just hear what Mark Vientos had to say about this, the benches clearing little issue that they had in the middle of this one, and then we're going to preview tomorrow's game.
Between you and Alcantara, that kind of blew it up a little bit there?
Just a lot of emotions. Trying to get a rally going, and honestly, I'm just going to keep it between us, just what was said. But like I said, a lot of emotions. Wanted to do whatever I can for the team to get on base, and just things got heated.
Yeah, well, you got on base, and then the Mets did nothing. 2 ground outs, the only RBI, only run coming in this one is the fielder's choice off the bat of Cedric Mullins that results in getting the lead runner at second, so whatever. But Mark Rapp says, Mets, Finns, and Knicks, I've seen 1 championship my whole life. Guess what, Mark? I've seen none. Mets, Jets, and Knicks. Big fat goose egg right here. 0. 0 for me. Yeah, still waiting. CB24203, that's regular season, though. It happens October. Everything changes. Yeah, no, we'll see. In reference to Jose Lopez, who says, Mets win 1, lose 2. Win 2, lose 4. That's not championship material. Yeah, we'll see if this team can flip the switch on again in October. It's not easy to just do. You know, we did it last year, and so everyone likes to say, oh, well, look what they did last October. They could just do that again. It's not that easy. So hopefully this team has that in them. We'll see. Armand, correction, Holmes has opted out for 27. He's under contract next year at $13 million. If he opts out, he'll make $12 million in 2027. Okay, there we go. And Armand, a Jets fan. Let's go, baby. Let's see if Justin Fields can take us to the promised land. Yeah, sure. CB says the way they got up and played against the Phils was promising. They just got to keep their lead over the Reds. Honestly, that's kind of where we are at this point, guys. We just need to hold out, win the final wild card spot over the Reds. That weekend series next weekend, man, is so big. So they really got to have a good one starting tomorrow against the Tigers. So let's actually preview that game. Tomorrow, it's going to be, it's Charlie Morton tomorrow. Oh, I forgot that the Tigers traded for Charlie Morton. He's going to carve the Mets up. Oh, I didn't know that. This is just news to me. Charlie Morton, the immortal Charlie Morton, who just absolutely dices the Mets apart no matter what uniform or how old he is, will be on the mound tomorrow for the Tigers. Oh, this is going to be brutal. Let's go back. Let's look at his start earlier this season when he was with Baltimore against the Mets and how he performed in that one. Let me tell you, it was really good. July 10th, 6 innings, 4 hits, just 1 earned run, including 4 strikeouts. Oh boy, the Mets have a 3-game losing streak staring them right in the face with Charlie on the mound tomorrow. Uncle freaking Charlie. This is not good. Armand says, on the bright side, Mets don't see Skubal this series. It might as well. I'd actually rather take our chances with Tariq Skubal because I think Charlie Morton, from his time with the Braves and then even this year against Baltimore, is just totally in the head of this entire Mets lineup. But yeah, I agree. It's nice to not have Skubal, but Charlie, man, he is always a tough one. And then the Mets are going to try to get a good start out of Sean Manaea finally. It has not been a great return from the injured list. He was okay those first few outings, but since then, not so much. Let's see. Last time out versus Philly, 4 2/3, gave up 2 earned runs on 6 hits, no walks, so that was a nice sign. Although walks really haven't been an issue for him this year. It's really kind of just been giving up a lot of hits. So you see the start against Seattle, 4 2/3, doesn't give you length, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, and then the start against Seattle before that, 5 innings, gives up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. 4 earned runs in the start versus Milwaukee, 5 against Cleveland before that. It's not been great. So the Mets are going to really need to have Sean Manaea on his A game and for the bats to come out and not look the way that they have so often throughout Charlie Morton's career, which is dead. So hopefully that will not be the case. Sandman games, oh, the pain. Mets have lost to pitchers with 5 and 6 ERA. Skubal, we would win against. Yeah, exactly, man. That's what I'm saying. I would take my chances against Tariq Skubal instead of Charlie Morton. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's just how this Mets team is, right? Like I said, this team doesn't make any sense. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Appreciate y'all being here. It's an ugly, terrible weekend for the Mets. They lose 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. They lose 2.5, potentially as many as 3 games in the standings to the Phillies in the National League East. And they open up a tough series now with Detroit before heading to a pivotal weekend against Cincinnati. So hopefully the Mets are going to get back on the horse here and start playing the way they were playing against the Phillies earlier this week before the Marlins came to town. But leave this video a like if you have not already. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be back with another post-game show after the series opener against the Tigers tomorrow. But let me say my thank yous really quick. Thank you to Jimmy James C, to Steph and HML. Thank you to Armand. Thank you to Yukoko. Thank you to Sandman Games. Thank you to Jay Doe. Thank you to Red Bear Fox. Thank you to David Schultz. Thank you to Joe, to Jose Lopez Moya, to Rod, to Bigsby. Thank you to Eric Douglas. Thank you to who else we got here? Let me make sure we got everyone. Jimmy James C, if I didn't already say it. Thank you to Mark Rapp. Thank you to I think that's everybody that commented here. Let me just double check and make sure. CB24203, of course. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. You guys are all awesome. Really, truly appreciate it. But we'll be back again. Another post-game show tomorrow, hopefully after a Mets W. But that's going to do it for right now. I'm Tony Metro. Until next time, stay true to the orange and blue.